Welcome to the escape room. Enjoy the game.
It's time to play the game. Time to play the game.
Welcome, everybody, to the DIU Escape Crew Podcast. That's Phil.
That is Phil. And there's Dom.
And I'm Dom over here. And first off, I want to just apologize for the 2.5 hour long podcast. I didn't realize it was actually 2.5 hours long. I thought it was an hour and a half, maybe, but I really didn't realize that it was 2.5 hours. We kind of
tried something new.
Yeah, we kind of got away from us.
Trying something new.
I had a message earlier today from our podcast brethren, designated Dave.
Yeah.
Asking, do you normally go 2.5 hours? And I said, no. Kind of got carried away.
Well, if Rogan does it, we can do it. So.
Well, hey, Jim Cornette too, you know. But anyway, so hopefully you listen to that podcast because that one was actually pretty involved. It was all about things that you don't want to do in escape rooms in 2022. And we had a good friend Lee on there with us.
Good old Lee.
Yeah.
He's a bad man.
That he is. I got to get that sound bite. So I could just go,
yeah, baby, yeah!
So, anyway, this one, we're going to talk about an article, three articles or so, from Room Escape Artist. You can go to roomescapeartist.com to read these.
Love those guys.
These guys are probably the best in anything escape room.
Anything immersive, I would say.
Gamingly immersive.
They do a lot of immersive things.
And they really opened our eyes to the escape room world.
Yes.
Especially with their map. They have got to be 99.9% of the companies in the in North America mapped on a map, linking that to their website, to their company's website. Whether they reviewed a room there or something is a different color, and we go by it all the time.
And their reviews are pretty spot on. We agree with most of their reviews, and it showed us what professionalism could be brought to the gaming world.
Yeah.
You know, there's people out there that do reviews, and it's very cartoony and it's very unprepared, and our REA really sets the bar high.
They do, and they really do strive for damn near perfection.
Yeah.
They also have a podcast out there.
They got awards.
They have an award. Actually, I think they should be having the award show
pretty
should be coming
quickly
soon. They have their own podcast out, Reality Escape Pod. They're going to be going into season 3, launching late February. And for everybody out there, REA has not paid us to do any of this. We enjoy their website that much.
We are just fans.
Yes. So we're going to jump into 3 articles that kind of relate to each other. One article was written, all 3 articles are written by David Spira. And one of them was written about 2 years ago, November of 2019, designing escape room crawlspaces. Another one was just written the end of January, called Crawlspaces versus Low Doorways in Escape Rooms. And then the final one, which just released the day that we're recording this, beginning of February. This one is called Escape Room Puzzles Should Feel Big. And again, they're all written by David Spira, and you can read them all on roomescapeartist.com.
Yes, you can.
Gonna jump right into I'm going to start off with probably escape room puzzles should feel big. Because I kind of agree with a lot of that, what he wrote in here. We'll just skim through the first part. If you're building puzzles for escape rooms, wherever possible, you should build them into the game space as opposed to adding them to the game space. And you should make them big. I don't think size matters too much.
Oh, size matters. Ask anybody.
Well, ask any woman. But anyway. But I see where he's getting at, where he doesn't want to see just a pencil and a paper and a Sudoku, like he says in here,
right,
on a table, and then run over to a lock.
Right.
If you're going to do something, put it in, make it immersive enough to go into the game play itself.
Yeah, I think when you look back on the first generation rooms, where there weren't a lot of props available,
technical props, right?
That
electronic props.
There was that line between what was built into the room as, say, like it's in a notebook and you're flipping through the notebook and you gotta figure something out, as opposed to Sudoku that's just placed on the table. Mm-hmm. There was a thin line with that, and because everything was so new, you kind of got away with it a little bit.
Right.
And I think now that everything has gotten to the point that it's at, with props and with things that you could buy and things you could make, and the technology is to the point where it's you walk in, and when the room is full of crossword puzzles and Sudokus and things like that, it's kind of like, I just paid for this room, really?
Yeah, I paid $35 to do all this, where I could have just gone to the dollar store but paid $1 for the book, and I have 100 some odd puzzles in there.
I mean, I think
I get it.
You know, I think that having those word type of puzzles or paper type puzzles are fine if it fits the theme of the room.
Yes.
It's someone's will that you have to figure out part of the will or something like that. I don't know.
Well, what you're just saying runs into actually the next part, which is called environment. It says, I can experience paper puzzles and other common puzzles at home. I can buy a book of Sudoku, crosswords, or tavern puzzles for a whole lot less money than a single ticket to an escape room. In an escape room, the space should be part of the experience, not just a backdrop that's more interesting than my living room.
Yeah.
Build the puzzles into the game space. Make the puzzles an integral part of that world. If the puzzles can only exist in conjunction with the set, that's a draw to visit an escape room.
Yes.
And I agree with that 100%. And they show a picture. I have this is from Raincore at Escaparium in Montreal, Canada, and it looks like they have a flipped over full size Honda car. I don't know what picture that is. Let's see if I can see. Honda Civic, flipped over and crashed into the wall, and it looks like it's full size.
Yeah.
Which reminds me that by looking at this picture, we go back to Riddle Room.
Yes.
The La Costa Nostra.
Which was the first room we did that had a car.
That had a half a car in there.
Yeah.
First one or second? Second one, because the Stormy Night one at Skeleton Key had a full size, like a Mini Cooper size car in there. So, but they actually did cut half of a car and brought it up to La Costa Nostra and made it a part of the room.
Yep.
But yeah. So, getting in here, build the puzzles into the game space. I'm a firm believer of that, but I'm also very big on techie puzzles.
Yeah.
Not just, okay, lift this picture up, you see a black light. Okay, so that's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever you have to do. I guess I don't know. It's kind of building it in, but maybe not.
You
understand where I'm coming.
I do. As far as I go, I like having to write puzzles out on a piece of paper or wipe off board or whatever. And I think, but I like to do it if it's pulling elements out of the room.
Right. Well,
to do it.
That's different than
if it's just, hey, here's the instructions, go off on your own and do it, and everything's on that one piece of paper, and you're not, and it's something you could have done out in the lobby.
right.
To me, it's a time waster. It's, we ran this room and we needed another 15 minutes worth of puzzling because everyone was getting out too quick.
Right.
Right. I mean, like I said, I process puzzles better seeing them written out, actually doing the writing. But when you can incorporate that with, okay, you look at this picture and there's 6 birds on the ceiling, and then there's 3 something on this picture, and there's another 2 in this picture.
Right.
Well, yeah, that's a different thing because that incorporates the room.
But see, that's the difference between. See, you want to see it. You see those things, but you're only writing that down to remember it more than you are to really work that puzzle out. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I like working puzzles out in front of me as opposed to in my head.
No, I see that, but that's what I'm kind of trying to say.
Yeah.
Like, you're not. It's not just a Sudoku that's on the table, like he's saying.
Right.
You're actually trying to figure out on a whiteboard that you're going to wipe
Right.
off. But
Yeah.
you and me both also like to have something in the room to write down, just for mainly memory's sake and
Yes.
stuff like that and whatnot. But that's when you're saying the wipe off board, to me that's just keeping clues in order.
Yeah, there should always be, in my mind, a writing utensil in that room, a wipe-off board, a static board,
Right.
a piece of paper, a chalkboard,
Right.
Needles for your blood on the paper, anything that would...
No, when he says, build it into the space, the room we just did, which we'll talk about on a future podcast, there was a cipher.
Yes.
And you had a piece of chalk.
Yep.
And there was a chalkboard with the cipher code.
Yeah.
And everything, and you had to write it. Now, that's a built-in puzzle.
Right.
And that was cool. Because, not for nothing, it also took more than one person to really figure this out.
Right.
And I think that's where, like, his next section here is team, where escape rooms are group activity. The puzzle should be designed for collaboration. And one way to facilitate this collaboration is to build bigger so that multiple humans are needed to interact with the puzzle. And I agree with that part of it.
That's a double-edged sword, though.
It is, because how many people, you're going to get way too many ideas if too many people are working on the same puzzle.
Right, you get too many cooks in the kitchen. And also, we've ran into a number of times where you physically needed 6 or 8 hands to solve this puzzle.
Yes.
On it. And we've had to bring in a puppet.
Yeah, a ghost or whatever.
Or something to help us. And that breaks your immersion. Especially, a lot of those puzzles are in rooms that are very high with immersion.
Right.
And now kind of breaks the immersion to stop, have the person come in, say what they're going to do. I like having something where multiple people will work on it. I'm not a fan of having where you need multiple people doing something physically to solve it at the same time.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Another part of this also team is, while many escape room puzzles could be solved by one person alone, they usually won't get to work on them on their own. Other players will want to participate. Building bigger means more people can see what's going on and interact with the puzzle. Scale can also be used to turn a single-player puzzle into a multiple-player puzzle by spreading out the inputs and mechanisms.
Yep.
Now, see, again, what he just said there, the last part there, spreading it out, different inputs, different mechanisms, that's you were saying you don't like.
Right.
Where you need all these people to do this part.
Right.
I don't mind that. But, again, we're a 2-person team 90% of the time. Now, if we had a regular team of 4, which we haven't ran into any kind of puzzle that you needed more than 4 people to do it.
No.
Whether it's you touch the metal on one end to the other,
Yep.
put your hands in certain spots,
Yeah.
put your feet in certain spots, whatever it is. We haven't had to have more than 4 people, and one of the maybe 2 times we've had a ghost player come in, a puppet come in. And I think the best puppet was Escapism, Ben's wife, I forget her name. We didn't even realize she was right there when we were doing the room, and then we did the puzzle, and she was gone. Like, we didn't even see her leave. So,
well, that's
the perfect way to do it.
A good game master,
right?
Knowing, okay, this is where they're at, this is what they're going to need, right. And seamlessly being there and then leaving is a big thing.
And I do agree with them here. Maybe building it bigger, a little bigger.
Well, a good example, I think, of that
what
is if you're doing a cipher gear puzzle, as an example.
Yes.
And you have gears that are a foot across as opposed to 3 inches across, right? You get more people around. It's easier to get more people around that one with the bigger gears, and everyone feels that they're more involved with it because your eye isn't covering that whole big puzzle scape at one time. Someone's looking at this picture, someone's looking at that picture, as you're moving, as opposed to when you have little 4-inch gears or 3-inch gears, everyone's fighting over something that's meant for one person
and really
to
want
do.
to see what letter it is and this and that, or number, meaning that the numbers are only 1/4 inch big or whatever, where the bigger cipher, which again we ran into, was good because we were on each of us were on different sides of the table and saw what was going on. And
I like that idea of taking a smaller thing and scaling it up.
I agree with that.
I like that quite a bit.
And so far we're really agreeing with everything that he has said.
Surprise, surprise.
We don't really disagree with much that he says anyway. But and the last part of this article is scale is the point. In an escape room, bigness is the point. The game designer is pulling the players out of their lives, out of the real world, and putting them into a constructed reality. I like his wording on these articles, I swear.
Yeah.
Makes them sound smart.
Smarter than me.
Making the game literally larger than life will make it feel like the adventure we crave. And that's what you, as a designer, want. You want every player to leave awed. I don't know what that word means. Awed. Sorry. Wow. I ain't as smart as him. Awed. Give them multiple opportunities to lay their hands on the props and puzzles, earning their victories as they play. To achieve this, scale is your friend. Yes. Like, if you have a big enough space to do scale.
Well,
or you build a room that's big enough for that room.
It's building a room that's big enough for the size that you have, I think.
Scale the room to the size that you have.
Right. But, if you're doing a horror room and it's a small space and your coffin is a 2-foot coffin, it kind of throws off everything.
Yeah.
But if you're doing a horror room and it's a small room, but you put a full-size coffin dead center in the middle of the room, or an esophagus right in the dead center in the middle of the room, is it going to take up most of the room?
Yes.
Yeah, it's going to, but when you walk in, that wow factor, that awe factor, that's what you're going to talk about.
And there's also another way. Like, you speak of coffins. Like, I'm looking at the door. I'm looking at the car again. But coffins, there's nothing saying that you can't put a full-size coffin in there but only show half of it.
Yeah.
Like it's rolling into the back of a hearse. You can have a painted hearse on the thing, and it looks like it's rolling in.
I mean, what are the things you remember from certain rooms? If I say the body shop,
motorcycle.
There's a motorcycle in the room.
Right.
There's certain things that you don't expect to be indoors.
Right.
In a room. And the smaller the room is, the bigger that item looks.
Yep.
Yeah. So when you walk in and you first see the size of the room, and then you see, wow, they got a car in here, they got a motorcycle, or they got whatever,
Mm-hmm.
There's an igloo in the room.
Yeah,
there's
the igloo.
There's a spaceship in the room. When they're full size, it really brings out the wow factor, and it sets
in the reality of
sets
life.
the tone of the room.
Yes.
You know,
You're 100% right.
when I walk into a room and there's supposed to be whatever in there, and for whatever reason they have a small toy version of it because, well, that's the theme of the room is this object. Well, that's a small toy version, and my immediate thought right off the cuff is, that's the way the room's going to be. But when I walk into a room and I see, wow, there's a full-size whatever, they took the time to do that.
Yeah.
My thoughts are immediately through the roof.
Right, and we've run into that quite a few times lately.
Yeah.
Well, not for nothing, escape rooms are changing. They're changing every day. Almost.
Yeah.
It's almost an almost everyday thing. You're not seeing too many of just, here's the 4-digit code to this lock, here's a key to this lock. You're seeing more immersive, meaning techie rooms out there than you are anything else, or computer-driven, software-driven rooms. Look at 5 Wits.
Yep.
It's completely computer-driven.
Yep.
No game master whatsoever.
No.
Then you look at a place like where was the one that we just did where they had the it's been almost 6 months or so when we did in Jersey and they had the giant UFO in there. Is that Mysteries? Escape Mysteries?
Oh, the big UFO, yeah. I can't think of the name of the place, but
Right. And then they actually had a full space shuttle in there. Like,
yeah.
where,
And all we wanted to do was get into that spaceship.
as soon as you walked into that room, you're like, holy crap.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, scale is your friend.
Right.
So,
And I think going along with that, when you have something like that size in there, the props that go along with it that aren't necessarily mechanical props, but just things in there. Like if there's supposed to be an animal in the room and they throw a little cuddly stuffed animal in there, to me, I mean, I get it. It's a kid's thing. It's supposed to be cute. To me, I'd rather it not be there and see an empty space.
I'd rather see it painted on the wall than see a little stuffed animal that you're supposed to be afraid of.
I mean, if you see it's supposed to be a seal and there's a little tiny stuffed seal in the room, that ruins it for me.
I mean,
if you go
depending on the size of the animal, the way it is, what I would look at it. Like when we did the igloo room at Complexity.
Yes.
Okay. We found penguins, but they were stuffed penguins that were.
I hated those penguins.
Yeah, but they fit the room due to the size because penguins can be big, I guess, but you wouldn't think, and it fit the room. The fish you had to get, it was a normal sized fish in there.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. It was scaled right.
I mean, to me, a little fluffy little stuffed animal inside that igloo where you spent so much time making that igloo look 100% real. To me, they could have done something a little bit different in there.
Okay, but I'm talking scale-wise that fit in there. I'm, trying to stay on topic, not
Well,
like you were. But, and I get where if you went into a jungle room and you see a stuffed tiger, if the stuffed tiger isn't a full-size body pillow, it shouldn't be in there. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, I kind of get it.
You put a little one in there, then it's kind of like, what the hell is this? That's what I'm trying to say. But yeah, that's that article. Again, that's Escape Room Puzzles Should Feel Big by David Spira, roomescapeartist.com. We got another one. I'm going to read the older one before the newest one, only because we're going order. And this one really pertains, to you more.
What are you trying to say there, huh?
Well, you got a bad back and bad knees.
Bad back, bad knees, yep.
Okay. And this is Design Escape Room Crawlspaces by David Spira, again, roomescapeartist.com. Tunnels and crawlspaces are fun. They poke the same childhood nostalgia button as ball pits do, which we've only done one escape room that's had a ball pit in it.
Yes.
That was in Florida. That was cool. They are a strong scene divider because they require players to stop, change body posture, and proceed forward in a different fashion. And with so many different aspects of escape room design, there are some good, bad, and potentially dangerous ways to design crawl spaces. Let's explore some of them.
Let's explore.
This is my biggest complaint on a crawl space. Padding, please. I crawl around in attics for the last 22 years. My knees are shot when it comes to crawling. I have no problem getting through it, but anytime I kneel, it feels like, it doesn't matter if it's on a smooth but hard surface, it feels like I'm kneeling on gravel.
Yep.
So yeah, put a little padding in there of some sort so you don't hurt your freaking knees slamming them down while you're going through. So he loves a good crawl, but his knees, not so much. That's what we're saying. Frankly, I and so many other players are thrilled to trade a little realism for some comfort. Pad the floors for your crawl space. Also, it's not a bad idea to round off or pad the corners of the crawl space, entry and exit.
100%.
Speaking of head injuries. Yes. Please pad them because, and they have a animate of David Spira crawling through the crawl space and one of them whacking his head. But
I mean, at the minimum, have it marked. Have a piece of reflective tape there or something. Have it marked so you see that low thing coming. But yeah, definitely pad it.
But definitely pad it. We didn't get into consistent dimensions yet, but yeah, you got to pad it something. I don't care about the corners and stuff like that, but unless when we get into the second one, consistent dimensions here. Your tunnel should be the same size on both ends. Keep the crawl space height consistent through the tunnel, unless there is a climb or a deliberate design obstacle that is clear and visible. Recently, he had to scurry through a dark space. He had a height variation and was going fine one way. Going back, he smacked his head.
Kaboom.
Which I've actually smacked the head trying to come out of him.
Yep.
Only because I didn't look up and to come out. But going back, however, I missed the critical detail of the tunnel's design. It's all fun and games until someone loses some brain cells.
Depends how you lose the brain cells, though.
Oh,
I
yeah,
guess.
true. Yes, I would honestly say we haven't really. Did we run into a crawl space like that? I don't think we ran into a crawl space so much like that as we'll run into the next article, which is crawl spaces versus low doorways. But definitely they should be the same size.
Yeah.
And some padding would be great.
I mean, there's things you could do if there's something that's coming down. Like I said, you could put a reflective sticker there. You could put a little tiny light shining on it so that it's obvious that it's there.
Right.
You know, there's ways around it that you could incorporate, and not just have it be a safety thing. You could incorporate it into the look of the game. You know, we've done ones where, you know, you start off in one room and you take this tunnel that's quote unquote like an underground tunnel to this other thing, and it's a square tunnel with nothing in there. Where we've done other ones where, yeah, it's decorated the whole way down with leaves and with camouflage and
it was all part of the scene.
Things on the floor that feel like they're squishy, so you're going over,
right?
You know, like a swamp or
like
something.
Yeah, or going into an underground tunnel where you would expect leaky pipes, and stuff like that.
And that's all stuff that helps. Plus, it not only does it help the person, but it keeps you immersed in the game.
Yes. Yeah. He's got in here, no rushing, transitioning scenes under pressure can be good fun. That said, I strongly dissuade you from adding artificial tension during a crawling segment. I don't know. That's getting back to what you just said. We did one room, up in Massachusetts where you had to crawl through a tunnel and you hit two or three wet pans.
Yeah.
I thought it was cool as hell.
I thought it was the best tunnel we've been through.
I have to, disagree with you on that one, if that's what he means by artificial tension. I don't know what other artificial tension would mean.
Maybe it means jump scares, maybe.
Well, I guess that's...
but,
I would consider a jump scare, I would think.
I would love to go through a tunnel and have a jump scare in there.
Well, we've done a couple of them.
Yeah.
We've done one in Laura's Labyrinth. We've done one in 13th Hour.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Yeah. I mean, I don't have a problem with any kind of tensions. We've done them where you had to actually go into the crawl space and get the clues.
Yep.
For the code. So I don't have a problem with that too much. But adults can really hurt knees, backs, and heads if they aren't accustomed to crawling or required to do so in a hurry. Okay. Maybe that's what he means. Try not to don't rush through the crawl space. But anyway, bypasses.
I love a good bypass.
Yeah.
And I usually don't take them up on it too often.
It depends on the size and the length of the crawl space.
And the time of day. It depends how tired I am.
How many rooms we've done already. Stuff like that.
But I do like when you know it's there and you have the option of just scooting around it. Now, I'm on the frame of mind that space was built for a reason, to add to the game, and I at least like to go through it one way.
Yeah,
if I could.
Once. At least go through it once. Right.
Once I go through it one way.
Yeah, you do.
If I don't have to go back through it and there's a doorway I can get out and walk around.
Yep.
That's fine too.
Right.
There's some place you go to when you ask about that where they're like surprised that you don't want to go back through the tunnel. And they leave an alarm on when you open up the door to go through, and but at the same time, if it's a tunnel where you're going to be going back and forth multiple times, okay. One time is fun, 2 times is okay.
The third time
time is okay. You know what?
You're tired of it.
Yeah.
Now here it says, you should have a way for some players to bypass crawling segments. In the U.S., if you don't have a way of bypassing cross sections, you're probably in violation of the American with Disabilities Act. Take this one seriously. Now, that is kind of up in arms too. That's kind of like up in the air too, because what about a lot of these escape rooms that are on the second, third floor with no elevator access?
That's what I was going to say. Most of the ones that we've done,
a lot of them
are not
crawl spaces, just escape rooms.
Not handicapped accessible from the parking lot on.
Right. A lot of them aren't. Easy bypass technique is to have a door that can be immediately opened. But yeah, I mean,
no, I just
I understand where he's coming from, but
I mean, I'm looking at crawl spaces from the point of view of I'm basically shaped like a weeble, and I got a bad back, bad knees, and
it takes you 10 minutes just to get down on all fours to start crawling.
Yeah, so
type shit.
Once I'm down, I'm down.
Right,
and I don't want to go through a crawl space that's 2 feet long and then hop back up again, because it's going to take me longer to get down and back up again.
Right.
At the same time, when you look at the entrance of it, of what it is, again, being shaped like a weeble, a lot of these you look at it and you get that thought in your head, am I going to be Winnie the Pooh in the honey tree, just kind of stuck in the middle there? Bring out the butters or start looping up the sides.
Exactly.
Or like one that we just did recently where it's kind of screws with your mind, where you have to kind of step up to step down.
Well, that's not a crawl space. That's a doorway. We got to get into that next.
But it's still.
We got to get in. That'll be the next article we talk about.
The
last one we did was Long Island. It was the Knight's Room, and it had a long crawl space to get up.
Yeah.
Okay, and it had the clue in there and everything else, and that was the one that they wouldn't shut the alarm off for us to go back and forth. And that was a long crawl space. I mean, it was long for me to go back and forth, and I was going back and forth.
I thought that was an Egyptian room.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was the Egyptian room.
Yeah.
Right. Now, there's that one. And I wasn't a fan of that one, and I just started using, not that they had a bypass, we kind of made the bypass.
Yeah.
And the game master was like, I don't know. We never had that. Anybody asked that before. But like Spira says here, there should be a way.
Yeah.
Our very first time we ever did a crawl space, Escape Room Connecticut, down in Orange, Connecticut.
Yes.
As soon as that door popped open for the crawl space, what did the game master do? Right off the rip.
Yep.
If you don't want to go through the crawl space, just come out the door and go up and come into the door on your right.
And I will say that's one of my top crawl spaces.
Oh, I love that crawl space. I think that is my.
It's
my top
decorated.
Yes.
All the way through.
Does not break immersion whatsoever.
It's long enough without being too long.
And you don't actually have to crawl if you're short.
Right.
Like us, we were able to kind of squat and waddle through.
Yep.
Which was nice. I was able to just duck my head down and just run back and forth, which was nice. But right when that door opened, the game master's
You're
like,
right
you
there.
don't have to use that if you don't want to.
Yep.
Okay, cool. But you stayed on one side, I stayed on the other side. We had walkie-talkies. We were good to go. But it was nice that they said that right off the rip. And so they were waiting for the bypass. They knew.
And again, that's a good game master.
Right. And so that's what he said in 2019 about crawl spaces. Now, he wrote another article about crawl spaces versus low doorways, which is where you were going to start going. A few years ago, he wrote about crawl spaces. You can click on the link and go to that thing. After bashing his head pretty badly in a poorly designed crawl space. So he's not going to revisit his thoughts on crawl spaces because he's already covered it. But I want to talk about low doorways. And I agree with this a lot.
Yep.
Tall people, watch your head. Short people, continue with reckless abandon. That's awesome. That's a picture on the article taken at Uncommon's Board Game Cafe in New York City. The case against low doorways. The thing about a crawl space is that it demands your attention. Unless you're a small child, a crawl space demands that you stop, completely shift your body, and all that stuff. Now, this is not the case for lower doorways. Standard doorway in the U.S. is 80 inches tall, 6 feet, 80 inches. So, which is 6'8". I don't know why he's got 6.67, but it's 6'8". He's 6'1". I'm 5'5". You're 5'5" or so.
5'3".
5'3".
On a good day.
When his knees aren't hurting. And so he's he's a tall guy, taller than the average, which is 5'9". I'm shorter than the average. So when a doorway is slightly shorter, that doesn't always register. Now I see that a lot actually with my boss's son, who's 6'8".
Big boy.
He's got he whenever he's walking, he's always ducking anyway through doorways.
Yep.
So he's the size of a doorway, the height of a doorway. And he's just got some suggestions for a lot of them. And, low doorways can result in harsh head thumping. Well, when you're short, and this is just a quick article here, but here it goes. Sometimes a lower than average doorway is needed. Escape rooms have all sorts of unusual design constraints. When you need to use a low doorway, there are a few things that can make it safer. Pad it.
Yep.
That makes sense. A little foam goes a long way. Light it.
Yes. What I said.
Easier to see things clearly. And limit passage.
Yes.
So when you have a low doorway, avoid puzzles that require traversing that space.
Right, so you only have to go through it once.
Right, and that's what we ran into the room we did yesterday. Yeah. Again, we're going to review the room at a later point. This one would have been nice. Well, you have bad knees and you had just hurt your knee, so it's hard to bend your knee anyway. But a little step stool right in front instead of trying to
Yeah, there was a step
over
in
because
front of it.
it was actually a little higher than it should be anyway.
It was an odd position to put your body in, where you had to step up to step down, while the headspace stepped down too.
Yes.
So it was just an odd position to look at and think, mechanically, how is this going to work?
Right.
And then when the person in front of you immediately stops and starts looking around, going, should I go through it? Yeah, keep going.
When you're already halfway in.
Don't stop now.
I mean, they did have an oh shit handle in there.
Yeah.
So, which was nice. But you did have to keep going back and forth.
Right.
Unless you put somebody in there with a puzzle, whereas if we left somebody in there instead of everybody always having to see what's going on with the puzzle you're working with, we left somebody in there, we could have explained what it was, and that's it.
Exactly.
But, yes,
but
low doorways are tough.
That was probably the worst example that I can remember.
No. Of a low doorway? No. Well, no, because we didn't have to go back and forth. So, yeah.
It's something that we went back and forth,
Yeah.
Half a dozen times doing it, because there was something in one room that was needed in the other room, and it was just,
Yes.
it was just one of those things where if you took one of those factors out of it, if either you didn't have to step up to step down, or the ceiling was at a proper height straight through where it didn't step down, I think it would have made life better. I think it would have made life easier.
I agree 100%.
And I just, visually, it was a cool thing to see, but it was just an uncomfortable thing to navigate.
Oh, it definitely was. And
it felt weird just walking through it. I don't know. To me, it did.
It was different.
I know Lee looked a little comprehensive.
Well, apprehensive.
Sorry. Walking through it.
I just don't think he expected it to be as dark as it was. I think he just maybe doesn't really like jump scares too much either. And I think he was waiting for something.
Could be.
I was the second one to get in there because you kind of just moved out of the way when I started walking in. But I
mean, there's been a few that we've done where, they've been a little bit skinnier than I would have liked. We've done ones that were a little bit shorter than was good for me. But in general, it's got to be hard to design something that is going to be fun for kids and fun for adults to do at the same time.
Right. I personally think the best crawl space / low doorway, because this one is kind of one and the same, was done at the best one we've seen was done at Key to Escape in Nashua, New Hampshire. Can't remember what room it was. It's the Hansel and Gretel room.
Oh yeah.
That was the best way to do that.
Yep.
Because not only did it make it bypass,
yep,
but you didn't have to bypass it.
Right.
Once you do the room, you'll understand what I'm talking about. It was cool. You didn't have to break immersion to bypass it.
No.
Like a lot of places you do.
It was wide enough that it was inviting. It was big enough that when you looked through it, you wanted to be on the other side of it. Was the height shorter than a normal doorway? Yeah, but it gave you that, hey, it's a secret passageway.
Well, that's what I'm
feel.
saying. But it turned it into, it was, once you went through, only one person had to go through to make it the full size.
Yeah.
So, another one who did that good was, they're closed now, Plainville Escape. That back theater room was one of the very first
When they had
ones.
the film door,
They had the
camera door,
they had the round door.
Yeah.
And then once you got in there was a bypass. Not everybody had to go through that.
Right.
You unclicked it, and you didn't break immersion because chances are there could be something like that.
Yeah.
Kind of room. They did it very well too.
Which I like that because those
What the hell? I can't remember what their name was. Anyway,
Forbidden
Escape. You're right.
those round doors. I forgot what they call them, camera doors or whatever.
Whatever they are. That's the first one we ever did. I think we've done
dark
two of
room
them.
door or
yeah,
something.
Dark room door.
We've done that one was a little bit on the smaller side.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit, not that I'm claustrophobic, but physically it's a little tight for someone
Right.
like me. So to have that door pop open next to it,
Right. Which was nice.
Yeah.
Not to
real
mention
nice.
that almost everybody was afraid to go through it, and that's where Mike was anyway. And I was like, nope, right through. But that was done very well because you had a bypass.
Yeah, those dark room doors, if they're the right size, it's cool because you're in that darkness and you don't know what's on the other side of that.
Right. But other than that, yeah, I mean, low doorways, yeah, they should be marked. Maybe not as you're going in, but if you got to come back out again and it's a full size that you're walking through, then you got to duck.
Right.
There should be something labeled there. There's nothing breaking immersion if you labeled it.
Right.
Because you're not seeing it going in.
Yeah. Like you could put a little pen light pointing at it.
Something. That's all he's saying is, have limited passage through it. And I agree with it. Pad it. I agree with that. And light it. I agree with that too. Somehow light it up. Even if it's, like you said, a pen light, just a pin light on it. Just, or a sign that says, watch your head. I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah. I mean, if everyone going through hits their head, that's one thing. And that needs to be addressed. On the other hand, if it's 1 out of 100 people that are going through there, well, some people are just unaware of their environment.
Yeah.
And you're not going to fix everybody.
Right.
But I think as long as for the most part it's safe for most people, I think it's fine.
Right. So anyway, that's crawl spaces versus low doorways in an escape room. All 3 articles. We started with escape room puzzles should feel big. That is the latest article on roomescapeartist.com. Next one we did here was designing escape room crawl spaces, which was done 2 years ago, back in November. And then crawl spaces versus low doorways, all on roomescapeartist.com, all written by David Spira.
Good old Dave.
Yeah. Before we end this, because we're already, give or take, 40 some odd minutes, almost 50 minutes into this podcast. Again, like I said, they'll be shorter than the 2.5 hour one.
This is true.
We want to tell everybody to, we have a sister show now.
Yes, we do.
We have the Rusty Razor podcast, hosted by Designated Dave.
Yeah.
This podcast started 12 years ago, easily. 11, 12 years ago. They've only put out 40-something episodes. They went on about a 6-year hiatus, 7-year hiatus.
Hey, things happen.
But he's bringing it back. And there's all different ways you can listen, and you can actually watch it because he does video.
Yep.
So check out Rusty Razor podcast on Facebook. You could contact him through there. Again, Designated Dave. Check out his shows. You could listen to all his podcasts on wherever you listen to podcasts. Me, I am a Google guy. I listen to all my podcasts on Google Podcasts.
Spotify.
You're a Spotify guy, even though everybody's taking their stuff off of Spotify lately.
Good. We don't want you on our Spotify anyways.
And but check it all out. It's just random chit-chat about anything and everything. Whatever.
A lot of wrestling, though, right? Doesn't
Not really so much wrestling anymore.
I thought that was the whole big deal. The whole big thing was...
It was originally. It was about UFC and professional wrestling, but because the fans of professional wrestling has gone downhill quite a bit over the last few years, and not a lot of people are watching everything anymore. He's still huge into the MMA scene, and I think he still talks about that. But he has guests on, and they talk gaming. They talk, it's everything. It's just really two guys sitting down, having a conversation about anything.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah. Except we talk about escape rooms.
Yeah.
They talk about everything. So there's no real subject matter. And he does coast to coast. He's got his original host, Primo, is in California. He's here in Connecticut. And so when Primo's available, they do a coast to coast thing. You can call in through, if you have his phone number. You can call in. He might even be able to bring a third video in. I'm not 100% sure how he does that. But so check out the Rusty Razor Podcast. Check him out on Facebook. Give him a like. And welcome Rusty Razor Podcast to the DIU Podcast Network.
Yeah. Take it over the world.
2 podcasts at a time.
Damn straight. Next person we're going to sign up is Rogan.
Yeah. Let's sign Rogan. Let's sign Rogan. Let's sign freaking Austin. Let's sign... No. Another thing is you want to get a hold of us, go to our Facebook page, DIU Escape Crew. That's CRUE.
Like Motley Crue.
And send us a message on there if you want to talk to us, ask us questions. You want to be a guest, get a hold of us right through there. That's the best way to get a hold of us.
You got rooms you want us to try?
Yeah.
You want us to play? Let us know. We've been all up and down the East Coast, and we are not afraid of a little bit of travel time.
No, no, we're not afraid of travel time at all. Hell, we might even, since one of our favorite places in Florida is opening up their second room, we might, like you said, we might just freaking hop flight and shoot right straight down the freaking Clearwater and do a room, and then turn around, come back.
I would do that in a heartbeat.
So, but yeah. So if you want any and all information, check that out on DIU Escape Crew on our Facebook page, DIUescapecrew.com, all spelled the same way. We have a list of all the companies we have done, and if they are still open, there is a link to that escape room company's website. We try to do that just to spread the word about escape rooms and everything else.
The other thing you could let us know about is one of us recently got into VR gaming. I got the Oculus. Let us know what good escape rooms are available on the VR for the Oculus.
Yeah.
Or any other games that you think I'd want to play. I got it, and I haven't stopped playing it yet. And it's become another addiction that we could use some advice over.
And we could talk about it on the podcast.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So, other than that, get your swag. We don't have brand new swag yet. We don't have any brand new swag yet, but we got quite a few shirts, though. We got quite a few designs. Let's see if I can bring it up quick here. We have the DIU Escape Crew, kind of motorcycle-ish, club-ish patch.
Yep.
Version, which is on the front, not on the back.
I like that one.
I do too. And we have the Church of Lurch.
Gotta love Lurch.
Lurch is an original from DIU TV. A bunch of different DIU Escape Crew original logos. Couple with the skull, couple just with the round head. You can get Do It Up Productions swag there, DIU karaoke stuff, our old stuff. DIU.
Love the original with the keys.
Yes, the DIU Escape Room Reviews shirt. You can get this almost on anything. You want it on a mug, you want it on anything. It's all through TeePublic. But go to DIUescapecrew.com, click on the link, and
actually, I like the last one with the
this one.
Yeah,
with the microphone. We also have the podcasting network, DIU Podcasting Network, which is in the same vein as our original one here.
Yep.
Original DIU Escape Crew T-shirt, and we have the broken television for DIU TV, old school.
That's always a crowd favorite.
Check them out. I mean, they're anywhere from $20 to $22. The one with DIU and then has just the skull and Escape Crew underneath is a double-sided shirt, I believe. Yes. Because on the back it says time to play the game. DIUescapecrew.com. So it has our website on the back.
Love it.
So check it all out. And again, leave us some responses, man. We really haven't been. We've been getting responses from like friends and family and stuff, but I'm seeing there's a lot of downloads coming from all over the U.S. and we'd like some kind of response from people, some feedback. Whether you like it, you don't like it, we just want to hear from you.
What do you want us to talk about?
Yeah,
we'll talk about whatever.
Well, as long as it's escape room related, but we could start another podcast to do something like that. But so let us know. Again, we were going to start doing prizes. We got to start talking about Diamond Awards pretty soon. I know it's this will be middle of February when it comes out. So
yeah,
we got to start talking Diamond Awards, and I got to get the 3D printer back up and running.
As I take a glance over at it.
Yeah, as I'm looking at it. So, but definitely, yeah, just we're looking for some feedback. Just give us some feedback. Again, the Diamond Awards are only voted on myself and Philip.
There's only games that we've played
together.
Yep.
And
I think that's it.
Both have to agree on it. That's about it. We don't do any kind of
participation
awards, right? We don't give away awards for every single thing. It's the room, and that's it.
Everybody gets a trophy. You get a trophy. You get a trophy. You get a trophy.
Listen to the New Kid Rocker song. Don't tell me how to live. But anyway, so I think that's about it, right?
I think
so.
So.
Anything else you want to say?
I am good.
I think the next episode of the podcast will either be a review or we're going to talk about the etiquette in escape rooms.
Yes.
Which is a different subject to talk about.
Yeah, there's the rules and then there's etiquette.
Right. So.
And we're all about etiquette.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
Like we have any. Anyway, I'm Dom.
He is Dom.
That's Bill.
That's what I've been told.
You were going to say, that was Bill. That is Bill. Anyway, man, thanks for listening. Thanks for supporting. You'll hear from us when you hear from us.
Peace out.